Aye.
How's things, Tommy? Big week,
Good.
obviously. So,
Yeah.
how are you feeling?
Well, feeling good. We've just got to try and get 6 points and make it as difficult. Well, obviously, that would rule Hamilton out altogether, but it would mean Ross County would have to win their last two. So that'll be the aim. But as always, it's concentrating on the next game, and we know it's going to be a tough game against St Mirren on Wednesday night, and just hope we can play as well as we did the last time against them, but cut out maybe the mistakes that we had, which cost us dearly in the cup game. So looking forward to it, and still really confident that we can get out of it.
Where would this rank in your career if you were to keep Kilmarnock up?
Well, I think when we came in, I said it knew the difficulty of the job. I mean, and then there's, if you look at it, coming into a situation where a team was struggling, we didn't maybe get the bounce in terms of the points that we would have wanted early doors, but the performances in the main have been very good and have improved. It's a difficult situation when you're at the bottom of the table. It's a difficult situation when you've 17 players out of contract or are loan players who are potentially, worried about their futures as well. So it's not just, and of course losing Stuart Finlay, which even though it was a good deal for the club, something that was a blow to us in terms of the experience that he has at in the partnership he had with Kirk Broadfoot at the back, because we haven't kept enough clean sheets, and that's been all season, and that's the reason why we've struggled this season. Quite a number of those losses could quite easily have been turned into draws if we had kept a few clean sheets.
How big a responsibility do you feel? We spoke to Kirk Broadfoot there, who said it's not just the players, it's the whole club. The whole club's future is at stake here. But you as the manager, do you feel that you're shouldering that responsibility?
Yeah, it's since I've come in, I've tried to be positive and tried. We know that's in the background. It's not something we're not having crisis meetings and talking about relegation all the time, but they're all sensible enough and switched on enough to know that there will be job cuts. People will lose their jobs. That's normal when a team gets relegated. So they're aware of that. But what we have tried to do is, obviously, I'm aware of it, but I try to keep that banked away and just try and deal with getting the players in the right frame of mind to win matches.
You talk about the positivity and the confidence you've got, Tommy. How important is that, just you and the players having that mindset going into this week?
I just need to, since I've come in, I don't think anybody's ever heard me say that I've needed to pick the players up, even after the early defeats, because we knew the performances were good. We were extremely disappointed after Motherwell, because it meant it's not ideal now. It's not really in our hands. But you come in on Monday morning and they're flying and ready to go, and that's one thing I couldn't criticise the group about. They've made sure that they've stayed positive. We've stayed positive, with them. We've made training. Obviously you need to get your work in, but we've tried to get them to train with a tempo and train with a smile on their face as well, which I say hasn't been hard. That level of resilience that they have has been quite good since we've been in.
Was it a case of picking the bones out of that Motherwell performance, or was it more just sort of resigning it to history and looking forward?
When I look back, Motherwell started the game well, not much then happened. Again, we didn't start the second half well. There's individual errors in the goal where we could do better. But when you look back at the game after it and you've time to reflect on it, I think we had something like 18 shots. So we did get into good opportunity. We did get into good areas again. We looked as if we lacked that wee bit of quality that day and that wee bit of spark. And obviously the start of the game, I think, was important, that because most of the games recently, in the run that we had, we started them very well and got the first goal, and that didn't happen at Motherwell. But it wasn't probably as bad a performance as I first thought after the game.
This might be sort of oversimplifying it a bit, but when you go into these final two games, is it a case of just cutting out?
Sorry, I lost you there. Hello?
Out any defensive where you've got that spark in the final third, and that should give you the best possible chance.
Sorry, I lost you there.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
I was just saying there, I know this is maybe oversimplifying it, but is it a case of just, if you go into these two games, you cut out the defensive mistakes and you have that spark in the final third, that should give you a really good chance?
Yeah, I mean, I say to the players often, and I said it at St Johnstone a lot, there's a lot of teams in this league, and sometimes games are won and lost, not by the team that actually produces the quality, it's the team that actually makes the fewer mistakes and the fewer individual errors, and that's been a problem for us. When Alec was here, it's been maybe not as big a problem since I've been here, but it's still a problem because we haven't kept enough clean sheets. We haven't defended well as a team. There's been too many times where we haven't taken responsibility in our defending. I do think I know we didn't score against Motherwell, but I do think if you look at recently, we've seen making more of the good, play that we've had and being a bit more clinical. If we keep two clean sheets in the last two games, I'll be fairly confident that we can get 6 points out of those two games. So it is really about being concentrated and try and do your job for 90 plus minutes.
Tommy, looking ahead at St Mirren, what do you expect from them? How do you expect the game to differ from the cup match? And we just spoke to Kirk there. He said that he doesn't think there'll be any drop off because of yesterday's result and because they're not playing for as much as you. He thinks they'll still play on it, trying to finish as high as they can.
I mean, if you look at Motherwell, they didn't really have much to play for. I think the different thing for there is going to be huge disappointment. It's their second semi-final defeat. I looked at the bench he had yesterday, Jim, and it's quite evident he can change it up and freshen it up. But they'll want to finish the season strongly because they don't want to be finishing the last two games in the league with two losses and a semi-final loss, and they lost the week before, and all of a sudden they finished the season, which has been a good season for them, with 4 losses. So, and they're professional footballers; they're paid to do a job. So, I'm not looking at it and thinking the game's going to be any easier, and the players shouldn't look at it. We've already spoken about that. It shouldn't. They shouldn't think that it's going to be any easier than what the cup game was, just because they've lost. How's
the squad looking, Tommy? How's Kyle?
Good. Everybody's fit except Nicky Kabamba, who has actually done a bit of running today as I was coming up, seeing him on the pitch. But I think he won't make these next 2 games. So and doubt very much he would make the playoff games if we were in the playoff. So just Nicky's missing out at the minute. Just
finally from me, when there's a game on Wednesday night, it's Ross County against Hamilton, of course. How much mind do you pay to that? Do you look at that game closely? Did you want a specific result?
No, we didn't. When Ross County played, who did they play recently? Was it Motherwell? No, Motherwell played Hamilton. Ross County were playing at the same time as us. I specifically, the Hamilton game I think kicked off at 6. I specifically told the staff and the people around the stadium not to be relaying the score to the players. I was made aware that it was 1-0 to Motherwell, but we kept that all from the players, and we'll do the same on Wednesday night. I don't think that benefits us at this stage. Maybe in the last game of the season, it'd be something we would keep an eye on, but certainly not Wednesday night.
Thanks, Tom.
Tommy, do you think your players could be put off if they hear about what the result is at the other game? Is that why you wouldn't tell them?
I don't think it helps. I don't think. I mean, we're walking off at half time on the Saturday game against Motherwell, and it flashes up Dundee United, or the loudspeakers, Dundee United 2-0 and Ross County 2. So, if I was a player, it would add that wee bit more pressure on you. And if it was the other way, it might make you relax and not be. So the main focus is just win the game and affect the game that you can affect, which is just concentrating on your own job.
How beneficial, Tommy, has it been, both from a kind of freshness of the players and or stuff that you want to work on in the training ground, having about 10 days or so to work on this game?
Yeah, it's been good. It probably, if you look at a squad in total, I would have liked, and COVID has made it difficult, I probably would have liked a game for the ones that haven't played much, middle of last week. But we've got work into them. We've worked on things as we always do. And hopefully, not hopefully, there's no excuse for us not to be fresh and play at a tempo and make it a difficult night for St Mirren. And that's what we've got to do. I say Jim can freshen it up with the squad that he's got, and you look at his bench. But we've got to make sure that we play at a high tempo. That's what we did. We're at our best when we dictate the pace of the game, and we've got to make sure there can be no excuses. They've had rest time, they've had enough work in their legs, and they've had enough quality work as well.
I think you said after the Motherwell game it wasn't anything to do with the players being lethargic. It might have been a mindset thing. Is that something that need to be tuned in for?
No, it could have been after the cup game. There was a bit aftermath of that. We did, or it could just be that Motherwell come out of the blocks flying and we just were off it a little bit. But I look back at the Motherwell game and I say, we did have 18 shots in that game. Now, not a lot of quality in that, but we did get into decent areas, so it maybe wasn't as bad a performance as I first thought.
Cheers.
Kirk Broadfoot was saying there was a frustration after the Motherwell defeat to have to wait so long until the next game. Do you see it as an advantage that these last two games are so close together?
I think players generally would be more than happy to play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. They love the competitive nature in them. So no matter what, we won't have a lot of time to either celebrate or win on Wednesday night or feel down about it. We've got to go on to the next game. So I think it is good. And we know this is happening, so we just plan for it anyway. I mean, training schedule's done. The players know what will happen, after Wednesday night. And basically, and particularly at this stage of the season, which hopefully will be our last game. And I mean that we get a result at Hamilton that's good enough to keep us up. It's all about recovery between the Saturday-Sunday game, I say, and making sure that they get enough information in the opposition and hopefully go out and execute a performance that's worthy of 3 points.
And just lastly for me, going back to the St Mirren game, Kirk Broadfoot talked about how St Mirren don't give up, and there was a lot of sort of late goals and sort of late drama in that game. Do you anticipate Wednesday's game being that sort of tight game that could be decided just by that last minute goal? And you spoke about the mistakes earlier on. Is it that kind of game you're expecting?
I would imagine it. I imagine so, but I hope not. I hope we come out of the blocks flying and get 2 or 3 up in the first 15, 20 minutes. But no, listen, we do know that there's, and I think it increased, and going back to when the back pass was introduced, there's a lot of late goals in games. Games get stretched. Players maybe lack a bit of concentration late on. Teams go gun-ho and commit men forward, and it works sometimes. So late goals are part and parcel of the game, but I'm hoping that as long as we get the late goal, I'll be all right. But I'm hoping that we can put in a performance that means that we can score enough goals. I mean, I'm not worrying about late goals against us in the last few minutes.